former Fulton County District Attorney and Sheriff.
Formerly a judge, and he knows a little bit about how these things go.
From Mohawk Valley, legal eagle, lawman.
He is the Sheriff of Fulton County, New York. Just such an amazing guy.
My name's Rich Giardino, and you're listening to the Rich Giardino Show. I've been asked a number of times, why am I getting involved in a podcast? Why at this stage in my career? And what do I have to offer? Well, I've been very fortunate in my career. I was an elected district attorney, an elected Superior Court judge, having tried over 200 cases, including 40 homicide cases. And now I'm the sheriff of Fulton County. I'm the only one in New York State history who's had that experience. I taught college and law school as an adjunct in the evenings several years. I want to give back to the community, and I want to give back to the public in an educational and informative way so they can understand more about the Constitution, crime, and politics, and how they all meet or intersect. Some of the guests I'll have on will be controversial, but the intent is to have you start thinking and listening to what they have to say and think about alternative views and adapt some of their opinions. Most of them will be knowledgeable sources in the law enforcement field. I want you to understand that the intent is to educate, to instruct, and to leave questions in your mind so that you continue to do research on your own. A lot of time on the show will be spent talking about law enforcement and the criminal justice system and how the reforms in the criminal justice system have done more damage to law enforcement and to public safety than they've done good. We'll not only talk about problems with the system, but we'll offer solutions. And while one program may talk about the issues and the problems, follow-up programs will talk about solutions to those problems. I think it's important to note that when we talk about the thin blue line, which is behind me, it represents the thin blue line of law enforcement on all levels in this country who stand between chaos and chaotic and dangerous individuals and your public safety. Because basically, all your other constitutional rights really don't matter if you don't feel safe in your home, you don't feel safe sending your children to school, and you don't feel safe letting your parents go to the store or in a senior living environment. So we'll talk about how we can make things better and safer. I believe when legislation is passed and before a bill is signed by a governor or the president, the first question is, when it comes to the criminal justice system, does this make society safer for the law-abiding citizens, or does it make it less safe? And if it makes it less safer for the law-abiding citizens, then you veto the bill. The test is very simple. Government and elected officials have an obligation to protect the individuals that they represent, the law-abiding citizens in this country. Fulton County, where this show is produced, is a place where we still stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and we kneel to pray. And I'm proud to say that, and I'm proud to represent people in this community. One of the things I talk about a lot is law enforcement and the fact that we're the only domestic organization in this country where you call us racist, you shoot bottle rockets at us, you throw frozen water at us, you ambush us, you say we wake up with the intent to kill young black men. And the bottom line is, when the phone rings and the dispatcher picks up the phone and says, 911, what's your emergency? They don't ask what your race is, how you identify, what your politics are, or what your religion is. They ask you what your emergency is, where you are, and then they send help. All too often, when we back the blue, we forget the other ends of the spectrum. We forget the dispatchers, because every call for assistance in this country starts with a dispatcher. They determine if you need an ambulance, if you need fire, or if you need police, or all three. It's their job to weed through the calls and to ensure that you get the quickest response possible. So remember the dispatchers, emergency services dispatchers, as we call them, when you're thinking of supporting the police and backing the blue. And then remember the other end of the spectrum, the prison and jail correction officers who have a dangerous job of being inside with incarcerated individuals, which we have to call them in New York, formerly inmates, and parole and probation officers. These individuals have to do follow-ups to try to keep you safe from the people who are released into society. We're going to also discuss programs which seek to rehabilitate and help individuals. As a drug court treatment judge for almost 20 years, I led in my community in the Adirondacks with trying to help individuals who are addicted to drugs and alcohol or other substances, try to get them treatment, try to get them help, try to make them productive members of society. We used jail as a tool to coerce compliance into treatment. We used long-term treatment, inpatient. We used outpatient. We used frequent visits with a court and drug testing and home visits as a way to monitor compliance. Those are important matters. So remember this. When you go to bed at night and you put your children to sleep, you want to feel safe and secure. And the only way to do that is to back the men and women of public safety who are there to protect you and your family.